Buddhism, one of the world's major religions, originated in ancient India with the life and teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha. This comprehensive exploration will delve into the life of Buddha, his teachings, and the two main traditions of Buddhism, Theravada and Mahayana. By examining these aspects, we can gain a deeper understanding of how Buddhism has evolved and its impact on both historical and contemporary contexts. The life of Buddha Siddhartha Gautama, who later became known as the Buddha, was born in the 5th century BCE in Lumbini, present-day Nepal. He was born into a royal family and lived a life of luxury and privilege. According to tradition, Siddhartha's father, King Shuddhodana, sought to shield him from the suffering and hardships of the world. However, despite these efforts, Siddhartha encountered the 4 sights: an old man, a sick man, a dead man, and an ascetic. These experiences profoundly impacted him and led him to question the nature of existence and the root of suffering. At the age of 29, Siddhartha renounced his royal life and embarked on a spiritual quest to seek enlightenment. He studied under various teachers and practiced extreme asceticism. However, after realizing that such practices did not lead to enlightenment, he adopted the middle way, an approach of moderation between self-indulgence and self-mortification. After years of meditation and contemplation under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, he attained enlightenment and became the Buddha, meaning the awakened one. Following his enlightenment, Buddha dedicated his life to teaching others the path to liberation from suffering. His teachings, known as the Dharma, form the foundation of Buddhism. The core of Buddha's teaching is encapsulated in the 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, which guide practitioners toward the cessation of suffering and the attainment of nirvana. If you feel inspired and wish to continue exploring the mysteries of Buddhism and other spiritual traditions, we invite you to subscribe to the Deciphering Miracles channel. Here, you will find more fascinating and enlightening content about the miracles of faith and life. Join us on this journey of discovery and illumination. The 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. The 4 Noble Truths are dukkha, suffering, the recognition that suffering is an inherent part of life. It includes physical pain, emotional distress, and the general dissatisfaction that pervades existence, samudaya, origin of suffering. The understanding that suffering arises from desire, attachment, and ignorance. It is driven by craving and the cycle of rebirth. Nirodha, cessation of suffering. The realization that suffering can end. By eliminating desire and attachment, one can achieve a state of liberation known as nirvana. Magga, path to cessation. The Eightfold Path is the practical guideline for ethical and mental development. Leading to the end of suffering, it includes right understanding, right intent, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Theravada and Mahayana traditions. Buddhism has 2 major traditions, Theravada and Mahayana, each with its own interpretations, practices, and cultural contexts. Theravada Buddhism. Theravada, also known as the teaching of the elders, is one of the earliest forms of Buddhism. It focuses on the Pali Canon, the earliest recorded teachings of the Buddha, and emphasizes personal enlightenment through monastic practice. Theravada is predominant in Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. In Theravada Buddhism, the monastic community plays a crucial role. Monks and nuns dedicate their lives to practicing the Dharma, and laypeople support them through alms and other offerings. The ultimate goal is to achieve nirvana, often pursued through rigorous meditation and ethical conduct. Theravada practitioners follow a path of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline, aiming to attain the state of arahant, a fully enlightened being who has achieved liberation from the cycle of rebirth. Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana, meaning great vehicle, emerged several centuries after the Buddha's death and emphasizes the bodhisattva ideal, the aspiration to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Mahayana Buddhism is prevalent in China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and Tibet. In Mahayana, the path to enlightenment involves not only personal liberation but also helping others achieve the same. Bodhisattvas are compassionate beings who delay their own enlightenment to assist others. Mahayana Buddhism includes a wide range of practices and teachings, such as the Lotus Sutra, the Heart Sutra, and the Pure Land teachings. Mahayana Buddhism also introduces the concept of emptiness, shunyata, which suggests that all phenomena are interdependent and lack inherent existence. This perspective leads to a deeper understanding of the nature of reality and encourages practices that cultivate compassion and wisdom. Mahayana traditions include Zen, which emphasizes direct experience and meditation, and Tibetan Buddhism, which incorporates elaborate rituals and teachings. Ritual practices and modern influence rituals in Buddhism vary widely between traditions. In Theravada Buddhism, rituals often involve offerings, meditation, and chanting, while Mahayana rituals may include elaborate ceremonies, visualization practices, and the recitation of mantras. These rituals serve as expressions of devotion, tools for spiritual development, and means of fostering community. In recent years, Buddhism has gained recognition in the Western world, particularly through the practice of mindfulness meditation. Many people in the United States and other Western countries have embraced aspects of Buddhism for its practical benefits in reducing stress, improving focus, and fostering overall well-being. This interest has led to the establishment of numerous Buddhist centers and meditation retreats worldwide. The global impact of Buddhism. Buddhism's impact extends beyond individual practice to influence global culture and thought. Its principles have inspired various fields, including psychology, philosophy, and art. The mindfulness movement, for example, has integrated Buddhist practices into therapeutic approaches and self-improvement programs. Buddhist teachings on compassion, interdependence, and nonviolence have resonated with people seeking alternative perspectives on personal and social issues. As a result, Buddhism continues to contribute to global dialogues on spirituality, ethics, and human flourishing. Conclusion. Buddhism, with its rich history and diverse traditions, offers a profound path to understanding and transforming life. From the inspiring life of Siddhartha Gautama to the detailed teachings of Theravada and Mahayana traditions, there is a vast reservoir of wisdom available to those seeking a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them. The spread of Buddhism. After Buddha's enlightenment, he spent the remainder of his life teaching and traveling throughout northern India. His teachings attracted a wide range of followers, from kings and nobles to peasants and beggars. After his death, or parinirvana, Buddha's followers dedicated themselves to preserving his teachings and practices, resulting in the compilation of sacred texts. Buddhism began to spread beyond the borders of India, reaching Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, China, Korea, Japan, and eventually the entire world. The spread of Buddhism was not uniform, and the various cultures that adopted the religion added their own influences and interpretations to the original teachings. In Sri Lanka, for example, Theravada Buddhism flourished, maintaining a strong emphasis on monastic practice and the Pali texts. In China, the arrival of Buddhism encountered a rich cultural and philosophical tradition, leading to the development of unique Mahayana schools such as Chan, Zen, and Pure Land. The philosophy of emptiness in Mahayana emptiness, shunyata, is one of the most profound and central concepts in Mahayana Buddhism. This teaching asserts that all phenomena are devoid of intrinsic and independent existence. In other words, all things exist interdependently, and their characteristics are determined by their relations with other things. The correct understanding of emptiness leads to supreme wisdom, prajna, which is capable of transcending the illusions of ego and attachment. Emptiness, however, does not imply that nothing exists. Instead, it points to the interconnectedness of all phenomena, suggesting a dynamic reality in constant transformation. This philosophical view has profound ethical and practical implications, encouraging practitioners to develop compassion and empathy, as all actions affect all beings in some way. The concept of emptiness is also essential for advanced meditative practices in Mahayana, where the dissolution of the notions of self and other is fundamental to achieving enlightenment. Ritual practices in Buddhism. Rituals play an important role in Buddhism, both in Theravada and Mahayana. These rituals can range from simple daily practices, such as offerings of flowers and incense, to elaborate ceremonies involving chanting, meditation, and community festivals. In Theravada, rituals often emphasize the veneration of the Buddha, the recitation of Pali texts, and the accumulation of merit through acts of generosity and ethical conduct. In Mahayana, rituals may include the visualization of bodhisattvas and Buddhas, the recitation of mantras, and participation in initiation ceremonies. These rituals are not only forms of devotion, but also means of cultivating positive mental states and developing spiritual practice. For example, visualization practice in Vajrayana, an esoteric form of Mahayana Buddhism, involves imagining oneself as a Buddhist deity to develop the qualities of that deity within oneself. Such practices are seen as skillful means to transform the mind and advance on the spiritual path. Buddhism and science. In recent years, there has been growing interest in the intersection between Buddhism and science, especially in the fields of psychology and neuroscience. Researchers have studied the effects of Buddhist meditation on the brain and mental health, revealing that practices such as mindfulness meditation can reduce stress, improve concentration, and enhance overall well-being. This dialogue between Buddhism and science has helped legitimize and popularize Buddhist practices in the West, leading to greater acceptance and integration of these methods in secular contexts such as education and medicine. The Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism, has been a prominent advocate of this dialogue, participating in conferences and collaborating with scientists to explore the convergences between Buddhist wisdom and modern scientific findings. He argues that, although Buddhism and science have different approaches, both are committed to understanding the nature of reality and alleviating human suffering. This enriching exchange not only brings new insights to Buddhist practice, but also offers science a more holistic and compassionate perspective on the human condition.